Hi, my name is Kate Atherley and I'm a knitter. I was first taught to knit when I was a young girl by my grandmother in the UK. And I dabbled in it when I was a teenager, but it was really when I was in my 20s after I finished university that I took up knitting again. And at that point, my beloved grandmother had died and I was pretty much on my own, and so I had to learn again from the ground up, and I discovered that there was a lot to learn and there was a lot that I didn't know, and I muddled through myself. It was a little bit of a frustrating experience, but I think that's what makes me a good knitting teacher, because all of these mistakes, all of the things I had to learn for myself, because in the early 1990s when I was learning to knit, resources were pretty hard to find. There weren't so many knitting stores, books and magazines were hard to find, and I didn't know anybody who was confident with the needle. So every possible mistake I've made, and some mistakes you can't even imagine I have made. And so I'd like to help you be a better knitter by bringing that experience. All those mistakes that I've made, I'm going to talk you through them and talk you through how to fix them. Learning to fix my mistakes is really what made me, I think, a fearless knitter, because as soon as I realized that a mistake wasn't the end of the world, wasn't the end of my project, then I was comfortable in being able to experiment. So I want to teach you how to fix your mistakes and teach you how to be a fearless knitter. So what I've got here is a swatch with a lot of commonly made mistakes, the kinds of mistakes that as knitters we all make, and knitters of all levels as well. This isn't just about newer knitters, this is about knitters of all levels of experience, and I still make mistakes every day. I made a mistake in my knitting just this morning. And so the first step is in learning to see your mistakes and being able to recognize and diagnose them. So in this Fixing Mistakes workshop, we're going to cover two main categories of mistakes. We're going to talk about stitch level mistakes, things that can go wrong with an individual stitch. A drop stitch, it's probably the first one everybody encounters, but we're also going to look at mistakes like working an incorrect stitch, slip stitches, accidental yarn overs, split stitches, these kinds of issues. We're also going to talk a bit about pattern level mistakes, things like having the wrong number of stitches, forgetting an increase or a decrease, things that might go wrong with your fabric, things that might go wrong with your gauge. And we'll talk about techniques for fixing these. We'll talk about techniques for undoing your work when necessary, safely of course. And along the way we'll talk as well about how to avoid and prevent mistakes as they happen. And sometimes we'll also talk about when you don't need to fix them at all, because there are some categories of mistakes that maybe you don't need to fix them, which can be amazingly liberating as well.